We don't have frozen lakes in the UK, but they do in Sweden, which is why we went there to rag around in Rally 911s for a day. Ice driving is the most fun you can have in a car, honestly, and Below Zero is a company that will show you why.
Oh, it's minus 17 degrees in Sweden, but I still feel like a 16-year-old boy looking at the top shelf of magazines in my local newsagent. Look at this. Which one to choose? Little 2.2 down the end there, narrow body. Look at these ones, they're sort of SC, so 250 horsepower. Wider body Almiras style at the end there. I think Stig Blomqvist has driven that one, and I know Voldegard has driven that one, and I like blue ones. So I'm going to have a blue one.
This is as good as it gets. A vast expanse of ice with all manner of different tracks cut into it, and snowbanks to bounce off when you inevitably get it wrong, and as much time to perfect your car control as you pay for. But before we go and hoon, let's have a peek at one of the cars. Now, there are many ways to go ice driving these days, but the best way to do it is in a competition car. These 911s are nothing too trick, 3.2 litre Carreras on carburetors that push around 250 horsepower with healthy gearboxes and LSDs, but they are perfect for the ice. Tyres are full spikes, we'll discuss the different types later, and you've got a full cage and a proper seat and some harness belts too. If it doesn't sound too spectacular on the voiceover, the moment you give it the berries, that 250 feels like about 500.
There's whoever said the 911's empty, it's in the wrong place. I used to come and drive one of these things. 250 horsepower, well under a ton, proper little rally car, and it's just sensational because you can use the mass to get the car turned in, and then afterwards, well, you've got that quarter traction to rely on, which just drags you out of the turns perfectly. After a fashion, it takes a little while on the ice to start to pick a rhythm up through these sweepers. And then it's just got to find that rhythm. Kiss the left button on the brake and try and keep the car sort of pendulum through these sweepers. When you get it right, and you just keep
Despite having ridiculous amounts of fun, you have to stop at some point, and the only place to retire after some ice skidding is a warm wooden hut, to inevitably have a discussion about studded tyres. We've got a log fire. We're in a lovely wood cabin. There's no better place to discuss studded tyres. Now, there are many different types of studded tyre, I know, but this is a sort of various selection of what you can get. Some of these are quite normal. One of them is very trick. Richard, tell me what's trick, please.
This one here, which actually looks, to the naked eye, the least impressive tyre. But in fact, the compound of this rubber is very, very clever. It's got a small button stud. It's got a solid shoulder on both sides, which means you can use it on tarmac, ice and snow, and it's just got sipes in the middle block. But it was designed for Monte Carlo use, where you've got a mixed tarmac stage, and what this tyre does defies belief.
There's some devilry going on here, isn't there? Because it's a bit warmer in here now, so we're well above freezing. It's quite toasty. But when you're outside and it's -20, you can touch the rubber on this, and it tacks to your finger the way a track day tyre tacks to your finger in a sort of in the late spring in the UK. So how on earth they make that work in these temperatures? I mean, there must be stuff in there that's going to turn your insides out, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm actually I can't buy any more. We have a set amount, and I inquired a couple of weeks ago, but actually, by current standards, you can't make this stuff anymore. It's far too bad for everybody involved.
That's a Pirelli, this, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a Pirelli.
So this was a WRC tyre for Monty.
Yeah, that's where they used it most. I think it's called, it's a WM. But it's all about compound, because the stud is tiny by comparison to these ones.
Yeah.
So it's just an extraordinary thing.
Right, let's move to this one here. This is the DMAC, which sounds like a rapist to me.
He's not. Originates from Carlisle. Good guy. And it's a new manufacture to WRC 2 or 3 years ago. And actually, this is not a reflection of a modern WRC tyre in its entirety. The big difference between this one and what we're about to move on is the width, i.e. the footprint. And also, we have had this specially spec'd for our lake, because for our driving experience, we don't want every single bit of grip available. So there's not very many studs, they're not very long, and it's quite wide.
And the block, I mean, the block looks as if it's styled like this for a reason. So, someone's worked out that there's a V section here, then you've got a sort of a longitudinal block here and a one that's offset here. Is that? Do you reckon that's CAD modelled, or is that just someone's worked out that works quite well?
That question is probably take a video in itself to answer, and there is a massive science behind tyres. You have an ice tyre, a snow and ice tyre, different length studs, different material of stud, different number of studs. It's a massive question.
What are these? Are these steel?
Titanium. Normally.
Titanium?
I believe so. I stand corrected if that's wrong, but they certainly used to be. It's
Titanium?
It's like anything.
How much for one of those?
Real money, I imagine, 300 euros or something.
Okay, this is the one that excites me, because this is the one that makes rally cars look so special when you see them ready for Rally Sweden.
Correct. Bolt that on, and life changes. So what we've got here is three stages of grip, and this tyre is much more aggressive. The principal reason is the number of studs, and if you just look at the difference, it's huge, and the more studs you've got, the more penetration you've got down into the ice, and more traction you've got.
These are longer as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they look.
Have these been shaved down at all, or are they about?
I suspect that's due to wear and tear.
And this is a Michelin.
Yes.
And is this again straight off a World Rally car?
Yeah, that'll be an ex-WRC tyre, but it's a different section of tyre, and I'm sure now they have to use this wide one. Effectively, they're trying to take grip
out of the cars
because the cars are so quick.
Which is strange, isn't it? So on ice, you actually make the tyre wider to give it less grip, because it can't just dig down into the ice.
Exactly. As ever, you become very, very comfortable with one tyre. And you put another one on, and you have to readdress your whole driving style. But with this tyre, you can take liberties that you simply wouldn't believe. And that's the reason they've taken the grip out of... they've gone back to this wider tyre for WRC.
Of course, there's much more to do here than just practice the perfect transition. This is the perfect place for the family man to get away with legitimate leisure oversteer. The wife and kids can do a skidoo safari, take a sauna and go skiing while you hone those skills.
Why is it, if I was allowed one last drive, one last tank of petrol, the bucket list question that all motorists ask themselves, I'd come here and I'd drive on a lake?
A couple of reasons. Reason one, look where you're standing. Perhaps the biggest reason. It's a very, very special place. Just to spend a day here without a car is a privilege. Reason two, of course, as you've experienced today, the driving that you can do on a lake, the freedom it gives you, the opportunity to push a car to the limit is like no other place.
It is definitely the desert island driving exercise. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? I go on about the Nürburgring and Spa and other things you can do in cars, but truly, if you do one thing, go and do some ice driving. It's mega.